On everyone. So it is looking like it is official that Christopher Landon is going to be the new Scream 7 director. That Radio Silence is officially out. And Christopher Landon, I think, is more than capable of filling in the role as director. We've talked about it the last few days. And it's just kind of been rumors and speculations, but now you're really starting to see the news kind of pump out. And this isn't something that's shocking. This isn't something that's like, real like crazy news, because this was rumored months ago, right? This was rumored back in like April, I believe, when he started following everybody that was attached to the Scream franchise. And so it was like, okay, is he taking over? There's all these rumors about Radio Silence ending up departing, and they got some monster movie. They're doing the Game in New York thing. They're doing all this other stuff. So are they going to like fit in Scream 7 in between? Are they going to go and do something elsewhere? Like what is going to be the end result? And now it looks like Christopher Landon, we have his confirmation that he is going to be the new director. And it's something that I think has its good and its bad, right? You get a new look, new perspective, new face, somebody that can kind of add some new direction. And you also run the risk of that direction being a completely just out of left field direction that people aren't familiar with, right? There was concern about Wes Craven to Radio Silence, and now you're going from Radio Silence into Christopher Landon, and that could be good or bad, right? Maybe it's better, right? And people just love Christopher Landon's direction with that. Maybe it's very similar, but it's not going to be exact because it's going to be somebody that's looking through a different lens, that's going to have different perspectives, different ideas of how things should be shot, and the ambiance, right? So I do think that there's going to be some noticeable changes, and that's could go good or bad. Also, all of Christopher Landon's movies have that more comedic edge to them than Scream does. Like Scream's always had a comedic edge to it, and it's had some meta moments and whatnot, but it's been able to kind of tiptoe that line where like you think of things like Happy Death Day and Freaky and stuff, and they were yes, they were killers and whatnot and like sort of slasher films, but they also heavily leaned on laughs and just comedic moments and whatnot, where we've gotten in Scream 5 and 6 with Radio Silence and the current writers. It does still look that the current writers are going to be still attached to this project, which I really think that they should just go fresh entirely. It's not like the new writers have been just so out of the park home run that like you can't replace them, that you can't do without them. Like Vanderbilt and Guy, like, they've been good, not great, but that's neither here nor there. You have Radio Silence, who is officially departing, and they're going their own way. And, I wish them the best of luck. I wish them the best of success. We've really gotten attached to this new adaptation. They were fanboys. They were guys that really respected and loved just the Scream franchise and Wes Craven, and grew up just being these like nerds that wanted to one day be able to emulate him, and they were able to do that. They're able to do that for 2 films. And in these last 2 films, again, we've gotten accustomed to that darker tonality, a more just brutal and less clumsy Ghostface, right? Less comedic. It's more on the serious side. Not that there's not still comedic moments or lines or whatever, right? Like Mindy's supposed to be kind of the comic relief at times, but it is less, 96 Ghostface. Like Ghostface, if it sees you in its sights, that's it, you're done, right? Where like, you could get away from the old Ghostface, right? Like, if you could just jump over a chair, Ghostface is you're going to be able to escape because Ghostface is going to trip over that chair, right? And that was one of the big running jokes in, like Scary Movie, right? Is how clumsy Ghostface is and how silly he is at times. And Radio Silence really brought this just darker version of that, a more modern version. And I do think Christopher Landon can emulate that and can continue to provide and continue in that direction. I just, again, I have my concerns that, it's a little too silly at times. But in the same breath, just like Radio Silence wasn't writing Scream 5 and 6, neither is Christopher Landon. So it might not be up to him regardless. But it's also the setting too, right? Because if it is comedic and there are comedic moments, then he's probably going to shoot that as such. And it's just kind of this back and forth. Or, things in the script end up getting changed and rewritten to kind of fit Christopher Landon's style, right? Like that's another big thing that could happen. You see that happen sometimes, like somebody new comes at the helm and they're like, okay, well, we want to kind of match and we could change these things to kind of fit his mold. Or, Christopher Landon will read over the script and be like, oh, I loved it, but can we do something here? Or can we do something there? And the writers are like, yeah, sure, right? Like, because they want to make him comfortable. They want to put him in a position to succeed. And that could be the difference between a good and bad film, right? So it's interesting to kind of see how this is all starting to unfold, right? The words are starting to come out. The cracks are starting to leak a little bit here. And Radio Silence departure is, I don't think it's the worst thing. You know what I mean? Like Scream will be fine, right? Scream will be okay. Like Scream doesn't absolutely need Radio Silence to survive, but I do think that they genuinely did a good job, right? With the direction. People always like to blame them for everything, which I think is crazy, right? Like even the writing, people are like, Radio Silence sucks. Like, I can't believe they wrote this. It's like, they're not the writers, right? Like, they're not the ones that decide what happens in the film. They're just the ones that put pen to paper, so to speak. Like, they're the ones that just take the words on script and translate it to visual, right? Like, that's their job. They're not actually writing stuff. And they have repeatedly said that they have no say whatsoever in the writing room at all. And that they've even thrown out, ideas and stuff and get shot down every time. So, and maybe that's part of why they're leaving, right? Maybe they're not getting the creative control in the writing room. And, I'm not saying that they want to write the whole script, but it is possible that they're looking at it as like, like we'd like some input. We're the ones that have to direct and, put together this film for everybody. Sometimes directors, like Wes Craven. Wes Craven had a say. He helped write scenes and moments and change things on the fly and did all kinds of stuff, right? As a director, you want to have some creative control, right? You want to be able to like, I don't really like the scene. Let's change this, right? It's not really flowing the way that it should, right? Like there's a lot that you can get from a director that has creative control because he's seeing it, or she, or the group, right? When it comes to Radio Silence, they're seeing things that writers just can't see because they get to actually see the visual, right? Like writers are trying to create those visuals through storyboards and just the visions in their head, right? But when you're talking about an actual director, they're watching day to day all of it unfold in real time. How does this look? How is this shooting? How is, does this make sense with what we just shot? Right? This is supposed to be one scene. This looks like it almost looks like it's two separate scenes. So can we change this? Let's add this. Let's do that, right? Like that could be a big thing. But, we're definitely changing and heading in a new direction with Scream. Curious to see how it goes. Does all the cast return? Does some of them return? It's going to be, again, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I'm curious to go on this journey, right? Like I said, Ghostface and Scream will be fine, right? Like, and who knows, maybe this is the beginning of 3 more films, right? Like, you could easily just say, okay, well, that was the end of the Billy and, Billy arc and Sydney and Sam and all that stuff. Let's go over here now. Or even if you do keep Sam and all of them, it's like, okay, well, we're just going to do a fresh new story and we're not going to have all these tie-ins and whatnot. Like, that's definitely something that they could do as well. That's kind of my hope, is that they just kind of, hey, we got a new director. Let's just let's go fresh, right? Let's go a different direction. But because it's the same writers, my guess is that they don't. My guess is that they kind of continue the same story. And I don't know. I'm hoping for some creativity personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of Christopher Landon as the new director of Scream 7? Do you think that he's more than capable of doing it? Do you think no? Do you have concerns like I do? Like I said, again, not any major concerns. Like, it's not something that I'm like super petrified over, but it is something that I think could arise as an issue later on down the line, depending on how things shape up, how things go. But, same breath, I trust for him to knock it out of the park. I really do. Do you feel that same way? Do you not? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comment section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things Scream, join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. See you all in the next one. Thank you.